What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today I ran across a video of a talk show I've never heard of until now. It's called The Big Questions. It's based out of the UK and it's hosted by a guy named Nicholas Campbell. And in this particular segment, they did ask a big question that shouldn't even be a question, but clearly it's 2021 and common sense is out the window, so yeah, I guess we gotta talk about it. The question was, is gender neutral pronouns better for mankind? And what a better way to open up a discussion about gender pronouns, because it's way out of hand. It doesn't even remotely make the least bit of sense. So here we have a woman who identifies as non-binary and uses the they-them pronouns, and she explains her pro-neutral pronoun reasoning.
A lot of our social selves are codified and encultured in the language that we use. We really use it to construct our entire society. And what's certainly true is that there is a huge variance of gender presentation and gender identity within humankind. There isn't simply
humankind,
men and women. Exactly, humankind in place of mankind.
You wouldn't say mankind, that should be,
I wouldn't, just because humankind is a more accurate descriptor, in the same way that me using they, them is a more accurate descriptor of my identity than using he or she.
Would you use homo sapiens?
I very rarely in my life use scientific language to describe the people I work with.
Wise man, it means. Okay. But it's something, do we need to think about that?
I think we certainly should be thinking about the evolution of language to support gender neutrality.
Yeah, got you.
And that's for a number of reasons. The first of which is that it stops this assumption that either the most important people in the room are men or that the only people in the room are men. And secondly, it does include that wider spectrum of gender. There's an excellent quote by German linguist Louisa Pusch, who says that gender and language should be both comfortable and fair. And she was referring to German, which is one of the most strictly gender-codified languages in Europe.
German.
And English is not...
What's happening in German?
So German has a grammatical gender and a gendered pronominal system. So they use gendered pronouns and they have gendered nouns, and that's supported by the wider grammar of the language. But actually the German state is encouraging lecturers, professionals and industry to use gender-neutral language.
God, I might have got an A if that had been back.
So in universities, a bit like the University of Hull, universities in Germany, their lecturers are using gender-neutral language to refer to students because it's inclusive of everyone and gives that space for trans people who are neither male nor female.
Yeah, it's a matter.
So this girl does make some bit of a sense. However, I still gotta disagree. The word man encapsulates both male and female. It's even in the word. Male and female, man and woman. Genders is one of those concepts that are very clear cut. You're either a male or a female. So when we're talking about words like humankind, there really is no need for it because there is no representation of all the genders out there. There's only two. Man encapsulates both male and female. Literally no one is saying that men are the face of everything and that women are not included, because without women, men will be nothing and vice versa. Gender, I can't believe I'm saying this, but gender is a biological aspect that is very distinct. All humans are either one or the other. Even trans people, the small minority that they are either one or the other. They are not some third gendered person and they can't represent both. And as far as the English language is not fair spiel, the reason why you think it's not fair is because you added all these other pronouns that you pulled out your ass that is damn near infinite and constantly changing, and now you want representation in the language, which is literally impossible.
Courtesy is all very well. I mean, you're describing encouraging people to use certain words. My problem is when words are policed, when language becomes policed. That is my problem. I mean, if it's, look, we can all go back to those sorts of things. Humankind or mankind. I mean, those are sort of interchangeable now. They're synonymous anyway. We're talking about when people actively, and it is a minority of activists. It really is a minority. Seek to have people disciplined or sacked because they refuse to use language that they are imposing. That's not the evolution of language, that's the imposition of language, and I think that's problematic.
Yes. Very important point. This stuff is being forced. Politicians are pushing it, colleges are pushing it, the social media is pushing it. This whole pronoun spectrum stuff is very new, but when it came out, it spread like wildfire, and it didn't take long for the higher ups to start forcing people to use crazy pronouns that is almost impossible to keep track of. And not to mention, people may change at any moment because they feel like it, and now you have to address them as such. And if you screw up, you just might get criminally charged. How crazy is that?
The fluid.
We're all male and female. We've always, yes, of course, we're all male and female. There are
what about transgender people?
There are a tiny minority of people who have intersex conditions, and there are a tiny minority of people who have some condition where they may have a female brain and a male body. Apart from this, we are all male and female, and the attempt to suggest that there is a third gender is, as far as I'm concerned, it's an ideological and a political project. It doesn't exist.
Thank you. You hate to hear it, but it's the truth. There's no third gender, there's no middleman, there's no leeway, there's no way you can opt out of it. You're either one or the other. It's that simple.
Male and female have existed throughout history, throughout the world. They refer, men are people who have penises, women are people who have vaginas. It's as simple as that. I would absolutely refuse to refer to this woman here, who's clearly a woman, as a they, because for me that would be imposing an ideological political system. Because she is. If everybody watching this programme can see that she is a woman. And
that is
imposing.
That's your problem. I think that's actually your
imposing.
problem. You're imposing.
No, you are asking me to engage in an ideological political system which I disagree with. I believe we are all male and female. And
by what they should be called is imposing an ideological system.
No,
I really want to come back and address just some of the
reality.
scientific inaccuracies of
Your respect for me is already diminished if you insist that I ascribe to some ideology of third gender, which I do not agree with. If this he and she is socially constructed, how come everybody watching this, everybody in the audience, can basically identify male and female just by looking? Occasionally there are people who are more difficult to identify, and we try to be tactful, but it's not just socially ascribed. It relates to a physical reality reflected in our voices, our appearances, in all kinds of ways.
Okay, this lady is speaking straight facts, and it's a shame that she's being labeled as the bad guy here. Like she said, pronouns stick to the physical aspect of a person, meaning their physical gender. When we start making pronouns to what people identify as, then we start getting into the ideological, which from there, pronouns can be anything and will constantly change, which is why I say it's literally impossible to implement in practice, because it's just too confusing.
You want to say something in a grey jumper. They want to say something.
They, yeah.
Are you they, or do I say she wants to say something?
I am a female. That's my belief system.
Do you want me to say she wants to say something?
And that is fine. However, the idea that you're saying that if this person chooses to say that they are they, that you can't engage with that because of your belief system. We live in a culture where lots of people have lots of different beliefs, as is very, very clear on today's show. We cannot say, I have this belief system, so therefore I'm going to impose it on everyone. In this, you can't do that. Like, she has a particular... They have a particular...
See, that's what I'm talking about. You fucked up. You had it right.
I accept that.
You know, this idea that there is an imposition of it, some people might say, well, when councils are doing it, or when universities are doing it, it is something of an imposition. And some people might be afraid to embark upon a sentence and then walk through eggshells until they get to the end of the sentence in case they say the wrong thing. And so it's not exactly liberating, it's constricting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is very constricting. You cannot say you have freedom of speech if you're policed with the most simplest of words. Like, nobody wants to feel like they have a guillotine above their neck every time they speak. You want to know why we have 3 pronouns in the first place? It's to keep things simple. He, him for male, she, her for female, and they, them for multiple people, male or female. It's designed that way so everybody can be on board and everybody can understand, regardless of intellect. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but since we're having a serious dialogue about what pronouns to use, I feel like I do. People use pronouns to reference other people. You can't just simply break the rules and decide to assign your pronouns to whatever you feel like it. Notice I haven't used the they, them pronouns for anybody that said they use the they, them, because they're not they, them. They, them is for multiple people, meaning one person cannot represent an entire group. You are one person. Like, that should be obvious, but we're living in crazy town, and I'm forgetting who I'm talking to. Maybe in your head you represent multiple people, but in reality you just represent all kinds of stupid.